Alright folks, hello and welcome back to Downstage Gaming. I'm your host Josh, and this is part 29 of our Let's Play of the Letter. When we last left off with our dear good friend Becca here, we finished off another day at school, had we got an update from Ashton about Isabella that was fine. And then we got a stupid jump scare from some bloody lockers. But the real action, of course, was at the cafe where we met Luke and their goddaughter. And we thought that Luke was some kind of predator or like stealing away a girl or something. And so we tried to kill him with a book. Luke didn't like that, but then we basically apologized to him and it was really terrible. Listen, tough decisions had to be made there. But here we are afterwards, and a cloudless night sky greets me when I walk out of the cafe. Beyond the tall buildings, a blanket of stars spreads out before me. Isabella once told me that the best place to view it is someplace outside the city, away from the noise and the obtrusive lights. She'd seen it once in her mum's hometown, and another time in the university she used to attend. Then, she asked if it's possible to try it out here sometime. I agreed with her at the time, if only because she appeared excited at the mere prospect of it. We made those little plans along with Zachary and Ashton, though up until now, we never got around it. Even so, I find myself enjoying this, despite being told it's only half the experience. I wonder if that we never got around to it is because of our relationship, or if it's because of a choice we made. Little things, you know? Stuff you learn to appreciate when you're alone. Because at certain times, you get to meet people who are unfortunately born with the innate talent to ruin the mood and the scene with their mere existence alone. Here, Becca. For example, Luke Wright, and also the very driver of the car fast approaching my direction. Luckily, he doesn't notice me, because I'm flipping him off, but the fleeting moment we pass each other by gives me a brief glance at the people he's with. Oh, okay, it was Luke Wright. Kylie's sitting on the back seat with a serving of bread pudding in her hand, and beside him, it must be his wife. You know, listen, Luke, you know, before when you told me you had a wife, I didn't really think it mattered, but now that I get a good look at her, I mean, man, you know, if you can hook a lady like that, you're clearly doing something right. We're not even gonna go further with that? Okay. He takes a turn and disappears at the nearest corner. But throughout the night, that cursory glimpse of all things to bother me has left me wondering what kind of person his wife is. She looked bloody and, like, sort of scary, but, you know. And more than that is a silent prayer to the universe. I hope I don't ever cross paths with that douche again. I'm gonna bet that that will not come true, Becca. After having such an eventful day, anyone will think nothing will surprise me anymore. But here I am, standing at the top of the stairwell, watching an odd scene unfold before me. Relief crosses my mind first, followed by confusion.
What is she doing there?
Although, given what happened this morning, the question feels a bit inappropriate to ask directly. What's important is Isabella's there. She's sitting cross-legged on the hallway, just right in front of her room, with several papers and folders scattered about. Each of them seems as important as the next. More than once, upon giving the scene a quick scan, I spot Bry Realty's logo at the topmost area of the pages. Now here we go! Here's what I want. Isabella on the case. Getting at the clues, figuring out what's going on. This is what I'm here for. Everything considered, it looks like a mess made by a third grader working on crunch time. Screw you, Becca! Screw you and your Isabella hate. The landlady will have a few things to say about this when she finds out. I have a few things to say about this myself, in fact. But something in the calm, focused manner she holds herself at present keeps me from disturbing her with that reminder. She's going through each paper with this intensity. Her brows are furrowed, lips in a tight line, both hands moving in precise movements as she shifts through each sheet. When she finds something of note, she moves closer, nose almost touching whatever paper she's holding, a couple of sniffs just to make sure, and grabs her phone to call someone.
Hello. Sorry to call you this late. There's something I just want to confirm, if that's okay.
It's cool. We've never seen this little animation of her holding the phone before, but the little detail that you can still see the phone stuff there, that's neat.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Thanks anyway. Not that one either.
It's a cycle. She goes through call after call, then after the last one ends, she shuffles through the pile again and dials another number. Is it work? I've never seen her this engrossed with her own work before, otherwise she would have noticed my presence the moment I've reached our floor. After the 9th call, she still appears as oblivious to it as when I've arrived. When she lets out a loud sigh this time, I immediately take that as an opportunity to interrupt.
Isabella, you know the house rules here.
No papers on the porch. At once, her head jerks back and hits the concrete wall behind her with a thump. Ow. There's the Isabella I know. Stupid. Glad it's still there. I allow her a moment to nurse it before speaking again.
Becca, you're late.
Yeah, I ran into a little trouble at the cafe. But I brought food for the 2 of us, if you haven't eaten anything yet.
As anticipated, a little, you know what, saying you ran into a little trouble is quite the understatement, Becca. As anticipated, she grins once I raise the bag of food I'm holding. Yet it doesn't reach her eyes. There's nothing of the cheerful glint in it this time. Just a hollow tone for the sake of being polite. Ashton's right. Something's happened.
Yeah, maybe later. I've got to finish this first. Just leave it here. I'll eat it once I'm done. Thanks, Becca.
You can't eat this here. You know how the landlady would react. Why are you even working outside? Your room's right there.
I know. Sorry. It just feels stuffy in my apartment right now.
I wonder if she's freaked out to go in there? Like, I don't think, at least when we were with her in her chapter, that she ever had any scares in her apartment. Unlike, say, Zach.
I'll go back inside once everything's been aired out. I promise.
Aired out?
That has never bothered you before.
Well, it bothers me now.
Oh, really? Just now? I find that hard to believe.
Becca, you're going about this the worst possible way.
Yeah? Shouldn't you be happy? I mean, you've been complaining even if it's not your room. Now I know how you're feeling when it's messy, so I'm going to clean. Isn't that a good thing?
In spite of what's supposed to be good news, an exhale comes from me, drawn out and slow.
It's a good thing, Isabella. Believe me, but you're as bad as Zachary at lying. What's really going on?
She hastily averts her eyes. A surefire indicator this is going to be one of those lengthy conversations that could possibly end with the other person angry. Again. It's the one thing I'd like to avoid tonight at all costs. Well, I'll do my best to make the right choice if it comes to that, Becca. Still, I've made a promise to Ashton and Zachary. If she didn't talk to them, who else is she going to talk to? She keeps this all to herself, who knows what might happen.
Isabella, you can tell me. Is it about your family?
A slight movement of her lips. Although a frown, it's a reaction at least. I'm getting there.
Rose?
She merely shakes her head. Just a little more.
Come on, I know something happened. I don't know if it's because of Rose, but I know it's related to her somehow.
Yeah, you can say that.
You weren't here when I visited this morning, and both Zachary and Ashton are worried about you. If you don't want to tell them, you can tell me. Does it have something to do with work? Office?
If I didn't know her, I might have missed it. She shifts then, her fist clenching tight and teeth biting her lower lip. And there's the weird sort of purple haze around her forehead. And there's fear. The look of terror in her is the last thing I expected to see out of everything. Her mouth trembles briefly before she opens them. When she finally voices it out, the words simply spill out of her mouth, one after another, all of it. True to what I promised her, I listen. Because this is something she's been keeping to herself, even from the 2 most dependable people I know. The fact she chooses to tell me this speaks a lot to me.
Becca, she was there again last night in the office. Boss passed me all of Rose's Lork load yesterday for the Ermengarde mansion. I had to stay late to finish them all, and then when I was about to go home, I saw her again.
And then I failed the QuickTime event, and then I died. But then I did it again, and it was alright.
She was standing in front of me again last night, Becca. I couldn't get away. She was blocking the door. If I hadn't hidden myself, even if I made the tiniest noise, if she found me, Becca, she almost did. If she saw me under my table, I think that would have been the end of it.
It would have been, I can guarantee you that. I failed the QuickTime event.
I'm scared. I'm so scared I won't be able to do anything.
By the end, her hands are trembling, and her breathing comes out in rasping intervals. For a long moment, I let the silence stretch out between us, let her sobs fill it instead. But even as her soft whimpers died down minutes later, there's a heaviness hanging in the air. Not just from her, but also from me. from my exasperation over this whole matter, from my own frustrations over her stupid superstitions, when she could do us all a favor and grow a backbone. Becca, come on! She may be young, but she's no longer that young. It's about time to put an end to this. She can't keep going on like this. She's still got plenty of years to live out. And what if she goes home? What if we're no longer there to keep her fears in line with what's real? What would she do then? Be happy? We can't have that. I'm more afraid for her, for what that kind of imagination will do to her, than of what some imaginary monster could. But with the manner she's looking at me right now, there's an expectation in it, a hope and a plea sewn together. She wants me to believe her this time. If it's like that, then what am I supposed to say now? What she wants to hear, or what she needs to? We can't. We can't. Like, listen, Becca, I do understand, because if I were in your position, I would probably feel the same way. But, and I hope we can find kind of a middle ground here of, like, logic and empathy. But we're gonna go with this. This is why you didn't go home last night. As much as I want to set her straight, a reprimand isn't what she needs right now. That's true. She's clearly freaked out. Yeah! Yeah! Alright. We're getting back on track with our friendship. With that pouty face she's giving me, I doubt it'll even end well if I push it. I know her. When she wants to be stubborn, she's stubborn. But there are moments when she can be acquiescing, too. Times when she'll be more accepting of what I tell her, despite her inclination to disagree with it. That talk can wait. In the meantime, I'll be the ear that listens to her without judging her, without criticizing her, despite my own opinions on it.
You should have called me.
She stares at me like I've grown another head, and laughter slips out before I can stop myself.
There? I can't do that! What will you do? Hit her with a book? You'll be dead before that happens. And
apparently, you have a history of hitting people with books that I'm not quite comfortable with, Becca.
That isn't what I'm talking about. After you got out, you should have phoned me. You didn't have to go to Zachary's.
The corners of her mouth curl up, a sheepish smile, by general definition, but this is Isabella. Her smiles are never half-hearted, never lacks her high spirits. In spite of this, I know everything's going to be okay. Somehow. After all, she's learned how to pick herself up long ago, long before we met.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't even remember how I ended up in Zach's place. I was in a hurry to get out of the office, and it was already late. Besides, I don't really think you'll believe me if I wake you up over something like that.
That's true.
That's beside the point. True or not, there are people who will always be concerned about you.
And I'm like, maybe one of them. I'm not quite sure yet.
There's Zachary, but he's the first person you went to, and you didn't tell him anything.
That's true.
You just slept there.
That's true. You should have told Zach.
There's Ashton too, and me.
Let's forget about Ashton, actually.
But how do you think I'll be able to explain to your aunt or your family if you suddenly disappeared? Think about that.
Right. I'll remember that next time.
Then she grins. Playful and mischievous, a preamble to an old banter. Still not quite there, still not quite her usual self, but with it, I know we're bound to get her back soon.
Mom.
I told you not to call me that.
I send an elbow to her side for added measure, and then start beating her with a book? I don't know where that came from, but when laughter follows the familiar gesture, none of it is unexpected. This is what's comfortable. This is how we've found an equal ground despite our stark differences. So for the moment, I accept things as they are. Afterwards, a hush stretches out before us. For Isabella, this is rare. This isn't her. Yet, in this moment, as she fiddles with the edge of another paper near her, she hugs her knees close to herself and lets a pensive expression linger on her. It feels strangely fitting, as if this is where everything's supposed to lead to if we allowed it long ago. Seconds later, the moment is broken by the sound of a door easing open and a voice beckoning some little piece.
How many times have I told you girls not to loiter around the hallway? It's noisy. Some people here are trying to sleep. Quiet down or go do your talking inside. I'm pinning a memo to your door the next time this happens.
Oh, not a memo!
Millennials.
Oh, whatever, landlady. Psh, landowners.
Sorry. We won't do it again.
You'd better.
The door closes and Isabella starts gathering the mess she's made, carefully stacking them all in her arm. At a loss for what to do, I help her pick them, and for the first time, I get a closer look at it. Completely unintentional, of course, just accidental looking, but it catches my attention nevertheless, and a confused frown makes its way to my face. Why is she looking through this? I look to her for an explanation, but she merely ignores the question in my eyes, takes the paper off my hands, and finishes cleaning up. No! You answer this question, Isabella. The last paper she puts on top is a letter. The one she supposedly found in the mansion, and what's probably the root cause of this odd behavior. I shoot her a questioning look for that, too. But all she gives me is a smile, and in a halting tone so completely unlike her.
Becca, I'll find a way out of this. You guys don't have to worry about me.
You need to rely on other people, Isabella. Work together.
Anyways, I should go. I'll see.
Where are you going?
Getting myself some food. Don't wait for me.
You have food already. Isabella walks away before I can stop her, before I can remind her I brought food enough for the two of us. She quickly disappears down the stairwell while I'm left standing in an empty hallway holding 2 bags of takeout. One of them will go uneaten tonight. Just an innocent, passing thought. One that I don't dwell much on as I head back to my room. Alright, let's take a look. Are we gonna get a nice, sweet picture of the two of them repairing their friendship? I hope so. Okay, well, it's not terrible. I ignore all of it in the same way I've assumed I won't ever encounter that douche again. Well, again, I really think you're gonna be wrong, but okay. Here we are Thursday morning. The brief lull the past 2 days has offered is nice while it lasted. Or as nice as it can get with worries of Isabella's whereabouts creeping up to me every now and then. She hasn't showed up after that last talk we had in the hallway, and the dinner I brought had since been given to a different neighbor before it spoils. By all means, this shouldn't be anything to lose sleep over. She's gone on more trips before, usually for a day or two. This might simply be one of those. Although it's often with a message saying exactly where. But it's the dour note she has ended our last chat with that gnaws.
Like an ugly premonition.
And as expected, just as things start to settle, and a steady rhythm finally worms its way back to my routine, Thursday morning brings further disturbance to the now calm waters. With little ceremony, though still enough to ripple through everything. In retrospect, I really should have seen this coming. Luxbourne is a small city, relatively speaking. Compared to, say, London or Glasgow, it's nothing but a tiny mass of land boasting a mere population of 68,000. But those numbers alone are nothing to scoff at when standing in a busy street. If you pay close enough attention, faces taking the crosswalk or riding the subway will soon grow familiar. How unfortunate that out of that number, it has to be T.O. fucking Luke I encounter more than once.
Oh, you know, a few problems popping up here and there that the agents failed to tell us somehow.
What is this? This is parent-teacher night?
Nothing a few hired hands can't fix, of course. I would have preferred a place near the city and something that's new to save us all the trouble. But darling wife insisted.
She got it to you as a gift, you douche.
Who am I to say no?
Ah, are you kidding me?
His smug head is the first thing I see upon turning into the hall, in spite of the small crowd of parents and students gathered at the corridor for the primary's career day. What is your career, Luke? What is your job? Going to the Cardiff wine tasting or what the heck ever. It's not that he stands out, he's pretty unremarkable at first glance, frankly. Total nobody, really. However, it's his countenance that draws people's eyes to him. The manner he carries himself with all the confidence in the world, his mere presence dwarfing everything around him. I'm willing to make a bet he's also enjoying the attention it garners him, especially the ones coming from the women.
What an ass.
A single glance at him and I know immediately that one way or another, if we ever bump into each other again, my day will effectively be ruined in some capacity. We are in complete agreement there, Becca. He also exudes that air. The sort that makes you want to run him over with a lorry and pass it off as an unfortunate accident. With him, it's either you want to punch him or let yourself be charmed. There's no in between. I'll gladly do the honor of the former myself, but alas, there are people around us. Now I'm stuck with having to face one of the two.
I shouldn't have volunteered.
At the time, helping out sounded a good idea. I have no classes left today until after lunch. I could have opted to stay at the teacher's lounge and work on my lesson plans, but that means being left alone with our deputy head and his chatter. He's a good man, but crivens, he can talk anyone's ears off. So the moment an opportunity rose, I jumped on it. It's a simple task to boot. Just deliver a whole box of materials and a few posters for the events, maybe stay around to assist if time will allow it. I just wasn't expecting him to show up here. Out of the frying pan, into the fire. Had I known, I would have stayed and suffered through our deputy's impromptu speeches about his life crisis instead. But what's done is done. Going back is also out of the question. With how unexpectedly heavy the load I'm carrying is, I'd hate to lug this for the trip back, just because my pride can't take another second of interaction with the guy. He's insufferable, alright, but I've had my fair share of dealings with teens of more or less the same temperament, all considerably younger than him, and they listened. If he wants to be difficult like last time, so be it, but he can bet his sorry English ass I'm not standing down. Left with no other choice, I brace myself and suck in a breath, mustering every bit of patience I have as I step into the hall. My grip on the box tightens when I pull it closer to me and attempt to assume a low-key air as I amble towards the room. The box is not big enough to hide my face, even with the stuff I piled on top, but if all else fails, I can just hit him with it. The first response being violence with you, Becca, it's not great. Still, a small prayer forms in my head. If there's even one listening out there, please grant me enough restraint. Better yet, I hope he doesn't notice me at all. That's not gonna happen. That'll definitely make my life easier. Seriously, how hard can it be? He's standing a few ways from the door, but there are plenty of people between us to use for cover. If I'm careful, I can just go in, hand in the stupid box to whoever's in charge, forget every plan of staying longer than necessary, and step out as soon as I can. Easy as pie. But, as luck would have it, the exact moment I reach the room's threshold, someone barrels towards me. She latches onto my waist, all before topping the sudden commotion with a gleeful squeal.
I knew it's you!
Yeah, I knew it was you too, Kylie. The force of it nearly throws me off balance, sending the items stacked atop the box tilting dangerously to the sides. With the child's added weight at my waist pinning me on the spot and both of my hands occupied, watching is the only thing I'm able to do. The short seconds in between slows as everything gradually slides off the box's small surface. Under different circumstances, this would have made for a funny story some other time. Comical, even. Until another set of hands reaches out and steadies the posters, threatening to take a nosedive right to the floor.
Oh, careful now, Daisy. Don't make a mess here.
My entire body freezes. Upon hearing his voice again, an irrational impulse to hit him immediately bubbles up. I don't know that I'd call it irrational. But before my limbs could catch up with what my brain is currently screaming at me, he moves to take the burden off my arms. Irritation gives way to surprise, then confusion. It is in that moment when instinct finally kicks in and I tug the box closer to me before he can fully lift it off.
What are you doing?
What does it look like? You're surprisingly slow on the uptake for someone of your profession, aren't you? Bloody, doesn't this school have people for this kind of work? So much for being a center of academic excellence.
Where are the servants at this school? Where are the people that attend to us?
I'm going to ignore that slight to my alma mater and my work, because that's not what I'm trying to get at. You know what? Why don't we just rephrase that to something you'll easily understand? Why exactly are you doing this?
Well, you look like you could use a bit of help. Have you seen your face while you were heaving this around?
Mister, I'm pretty sure if there's ever a look on my face, it's entirely because I saw something extremely unpleasant this morning.
Yeah, give.
Aren't you a ball of sunshine today, Daisy? Having a bad day, aren't we?
Only just recently.
Oh, you have no idea.
I'd put it away if I were you. You might scare the children.
You don't have to worry about that. This isn't my department. I was just asked to bring these. Anyway, I can handle this myself, mister. The room's just right over there. Behind you, in fact. Now, if you could please move over and make way, it would do the whole world some good.
Keeping my voice level throughout is a miracle in it itself. But regardless of how polite my request is, he doesn't budge. Alright, it's time to kick him in the balls. Did what I just said merely fly over his head? Or my choice of words really that difficult to comprehend? Surely it shouldn't be that hard. I think he might be a little touched in the head. I'd like to ask him that, actually, but Kylie chooses that instant to pipe in.
Don't worry, Miss Pink. Tio's strong. You can leave this to him.
Oh yeah, look at those muscles.
My papa does it lots of times, but I'm not allowed to talk about it to anyone.
What?
Tio says it's
Confidential, Munchkin.
Wait, what? Wait, what? What? Don't worry, Tio's strong, and this him. Does it lots of times, but I'm not allowed to talk. What? What?
That's right. Tio's smart, isn't he, Miss Pink?
No, not really. It's still the opinion that he's a piece of shite, but I must admit, his goddaughter's excitement is contagious as always. Why do you like him, Kylie? Like, he's clearly just as terrible to you. A smile makes its way to my lips. She is yet to budge from her place, though to be honest, I'm starting to lose some feeling in my stomach with how tightly she's wound her arms around it.
I'm sure he is, Kylie. But I'm also sure he'll find better use for it elsewhere.
Like helping you out.
Oh, well, that's one thing, but
You heard the kid.
no one's asking you.
Oh, you wound me, woman.
And I'm quite certain I can do more damage than that. Shall we give it a try? Again?
He pales, stammers for a bit, until he ultimately decides against saying anything, and settles for a brief show of discomfort instead. He's probably having flashbacks of the last time we met. His that's the thing, like, why? I don't understand his interest in Becca at this point. Like, he should be treating her like she's an insane person. When he finally regains some of his bearings, says it all. It's nothing short of hilarious, if I do say so myself.
I'll have you know that threats never work on me, Daisy.
Never.
Not in a million years, not ever.
You're assuming it's a threat. How cute.
That too. I'm not scared of you, just because you landed a hit.
Do go on. Keep telling yourself that.
It was a fluke, you hear? I was caught off guard and your damn book left a dent. If I end up in a hospital because of what you did, I'm sending the chief of Luxburn Police after you, woman.
You don't say.
Just give me that bloody box.
He snatches out of my arms before a single word of protest exits my mouth and quickly disappears behind the classroom. Not that it matters who brings it in now, my prior irritation has already melted into amusement. He's not- oh, come on, Becca! He's not so bad once you figure out how his temperament works. It's almost similar to a child. Though I still have to ask...
Kylie, did your Tio eat something bad before coming here? He's unusually nice today.
What are you talking about? So he chooses to hold a thing? What? A far-fetched idea, I know, but it's the only reason I can think of why this arsehole is suddenly acting like a decent human he's quite frankly far from being. First and foremost, we didn't end our last meeting on a good note. If I were him, I'd avoid the very person who put a dent on his skull, as he so aptly put it. Thank you, that's what I was trying to say. Why he's acting friendly 2 days later...
He always is. But I made him promise to be extra nice to you, since you helped me so much. I think you're gonna be great friends.
I hope not. I quickly stomp at the urge to groan loudly or gag at that. He's the last person I'd ever want to be chummy with in this whole city, but Kylie doesn't need to know that.
Are you sure it's not something he ate during breakfast?
What are you eating that, like, changes your entire personality?
I gave him some jelly babies this morning. Really brought me lots of them. Mama said I should share, so I offered half of it to Tio when he picked me up. He likes the black ones.
Of course he does.
Oh, that's probably why he's weird. Jelly baby overdose.
He could have done everyone a favor and choked on them while he's at it. These are some wild swings in how you are perceiving this guy, Becca.
Do you want some? I've got more. I couldn't find Melody or Takanko this morning, but I'm sure they'll be fine sharing some of it with you.
No, I'm not really very fond of them. I was just asking. Oh, where's your mum, by the way?
Out of town with Papa.
What? Out of town with Papa. An unexpected pang hits me at her words. The statement, though innocent enough, unearths a whole trunk of memories from childhood. So eerily familiar. Nights spent eating dinners alone, the number of days coming home to an empty house growing with each passing year. And sometimes, several Christmas Eves spent with relatives instead of my own family. It's too late to think about it now, but when I remember, the dull ache is still there. Familiar, though lessened by the years now. Beside me, Kylie takes a step back, having gotten tired of clinging to me. There's nothing but cheer in her. She doesn't seem too affected by the fact. Although it makes me wonder how much of it is real, and how much is there to mask the loneliness, if there's even one. What a lucky child.
Weren't they informed of career day beforehand?
Yeah, I told them all about it. Mama was looking forward to it.
And they still left?
Uh-huh. It's important business, so it can't be helped. They promised to tell me about it when they come back tomorrow, though. Papa said he'll give me a gift if I behave.
Oh, right. Because right. I was thinking that Mama is Hannah, but Mama is not Hannah. That would be like auntie or whatever the word would be here.
I've been a good girl, right, Miss Pink?
You always are. But they asked they asked your Tio to look after you?
Come
For
on,
this?
Becca. You're a teacher. You can't make that kind of slip up.
They didn't.
No? Then how?
It was supposed to be Tia. Mama likes her better than Tio, so she asked her, but she's sick and had to visit the doctor today.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, that's supposed to be a secret, by the way. Oh, but I think it's a bit confusing because Tio said she also went shopping.
Oh, is this the day that she goes shopping with Mr. Zachary? Yes, it is. Interesting. Okay.
That's unfair. Don't you think so, Miss Pink? Mama doesn't allow me to go out when I'm sick. It's still okay, though, since Tio always buys me sweets before we go home. I'm gonna ask for a parfait today. Extra large. Don't tell Takako, okay?
Oh, I'm telling Takako. Takako's gonna hear about this one. Listening to her like this, it's easy to get a picture of where Kylie's fondness for the guy comes from. Is it? She's far from a demanding child, unless you've made a promise of some sort. She never forgets those. She'll make friends with anyone wherever she is. Buy her a few things, and voila, you're settled. A very materialistic child. No wonder she's so attached to the man. The douche probably showers her with gifts whenever he can. I can't say if the sentiment's the same for the latter, however. He doesn't seem the type, and probably just does it for the sake of getting some peace and quiet whenever he's with the girl. Classic techniques.
But before that, I'm gonna show him to everyone first.
Why?
It's gonna be great. No one else has a gazillionaire fairy godfather.
No one else wants one.
Also, when I grow up, I'm gonna be exactly like him
No.
and marry someone really handsome.
What?
Like Tia did. That way, I can be awesome too.
Oh, you're learning the wrong lessons here, Kylie. There's some sort of misguided logic in there that I'd like to correct. But before I can say my piece, douchebag steps in, fresh out of the commotion from the classroom behind us, and plows into the conversation with every subtlety of a wrecking ball has. No shite given, despite no one asking for his opinion.
Munchkin, sweetie, trust me. You don't have to marry someone for that to happen.
I don't?
Just do your thing, darling. I'm quite sure you can do great things on your own without lugging around an extra baggage with you.
Trust me, you don't need a ball and chain. They really just make your life miserable.
Tia married you.
And I've been regretting it ever since. Kylie drops the statement without any sort of preface, and the moment it lands, the douche finds himself grappling with the conversation.
Yeah, well, that's true, Munchkin, technically. But it's not the same thing.
A small frown creases the girl's eyebrows. She tries to comprehend her Tio's rather vague explanation. It's not surprising either when Luke tenses under the child's questioning gaze. It's familiar. I've seen the same look a great deal of times before. On Ashton, whenever he's trying to say something he can't quite phrase. Another second passes before the douche moves, kneeling in front of Kylie and placing both his hands on either sides of her shoulder. Kind is the last word I'll ever use to describe the man, but in this minute, there's a smile on his face I can't place. Tender, by all means, for someone as obnoxious as him. It's a curious thing to see, if not a bit odd.
Listen here, sweetie. Tia was already a great person before she met me.
She is?
In fact, if anything, things have really gone downhill for her since.
But I don't see her doing anything. She's always at home.
Not always, Munchkin. Did you know she's really good at numbers?
You're good with them too. You helped me with my homework once.
Well, Tia's much, much better than me. She used to do maths with big numbers.
Oh, like millions?
No, gazillions. And she's really, really good at it. So much so that her dad let her manage anything that had to do with it.
What? Where is this person during any of the bits with Hannah?
That was even before she met me, too.
Does that mean she's better than you?
Oh, definitely, Kylie.
Oh, leagues, Munchkin. Way, way better than I'll ever be.
For some reason, I don't think he's still talking about his wife's mathematical prowess as his voice trails off. He's talking about sexual prowess. In fact, if I had not been paying closer attention, I wouldn't have noticed the change in him. A slight shift in his smile from one that's tender to something wistful, like remembering a memory he's always been fond of, but has often kept to himself. And at the fleeting glance of it, a tiny, insignificant part of the world somehow also shifts. Opinions changing, impressions moving. God,
You know what? Why don't you ask Tia
No.
next time you have homework?
No, you can tell because his name changed to Luke. No. Becca. Just because he has one moment. Come on.
Okay, next time I'll ask her to help out.
See? No need to marry a good-for-nothing bloke.
Can I also tell her to not stay at home anymore? If Tia's good at it, I'm sure she can help you out too. And Papa, he computes a lot of numbers too. Tia can help him.
You go do that. I'm sure she'll love to hear it, Munchkin, even if it's been a while since.
Another silence from him, then without missing a beat, he turns Kylie around and lightly pats her shoulder in a gesture to end their conversation right here and there. Probably before he can say other things he's never intended to say or a child is not meant to hear.
But off you go first. I think I saw your friend run off to the other classroom. The one with the pigtails? Go say hi to her. You still have those jelly babies to give her, yes?
All right, but wait for me, okay? I've got loads more to show you. They put up my drawing on the bulletin the other day. I'm gonna take you there later. I'll be back.
She soon disappears behind the small crowd, none the wiser to the sudden change in mood around her. Luke straightens as soon as she's gone. The expression on his face grows less kind now that there's no one to reassure. Despite that, a chuckle still escapes me. His head quickly snaps at me, an accusing glare clear in his eyes. Although it's less threatening now, considering what I witnessed earlier. Funny how one person's impression of someone can easily change with that minute detail.
Why are you laughing like that?
Don't mind me. I just saw something surprising today.
Oh God, Becca, what are you doing?
Don't let it bother you.
I'm letting it bother me.
You know, putting it like that won't make me any less inclined to ask. What is it, woman?
God, ah!
If this is another one of your threats, I've already told you it isn't going to work on me. That good teacher act isn't going to fool anyone.
What makes you think it has to do with you? I could have just remembered something funny. Not everything in this world revolves around you, mister.
I am not daft, Daisy. It's on your face for all the world to see. Now, say it so we can be done with this stupid talk.
I let out another laugh. More to delay than to express any sort of amusement over the matter. In truth, I don't know where to start. One wrong move, one wrong word, and I might offend the man. He's childish enough for that, even if what I'm about to say are just mere honest observations. You're good at I don't like the word handling her. Otherwise, I might go with that. But you really think that? I don't want to insult him based on what he just said, because what he just said was not terrible. I really don't like the word handling though. But yeah, like if I cut that word out and I just say you're good with her, like that's mostly true, at least this time around. Let's see how this. Yeah, all right. Well, I'm not sure that this is what I want, but I don't want to just be a jerk for the sake of being a jerk. Oh well, regardless of how I react, it's not like I'll have an impact on anything between us. I have no plans of getting too friendly with the man, though he might have some good points, emphasis on might. The best treatment I can hope myself to give him is to stop thinking of him as a sleazy douche. Besides, after seeing that look on him, I figure someone like him can use a little compliment here and there. No, he does not. He does not need that. He probably doesn't get it much, considering how coarse his language can get.
Can't you act a wee bit polite for even a second of your life? It won't kill you. You'll easily get answers that way, you know? Instead of demanding things from people like a temperamental man-child.
I'll be nice when I want to be, woman. Don't tell me what to do.
And here I was just thinking how you're doing a brilliant job as Kylie's
No,
guardian.
I did not say brilliant.
Was I mistaken?
Was I mistaken? What? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Stop playing dumb. I hate to admit it, but you actually seem to be good with kids. Possibly even better than most of the teachers here.
We're going way beyond what I'm thinking here, Becca.
What do you know?
I'm expecting, like, like, my thing was like, hey, you know what? Like, your interactions with her show that you've got a good side. Not like, wow, you're the greatest parent I've ever seen. I expected him to just take it all in, bloat his ego more, and even brag about it. Instead, what I get from him is a sound resembling a squawk. Maybe that's him choking on his own pride? I can't tell above the hubbub surrounding us. But when I glance at him, only a mortified expression is on his face.
No.
No? You should be proud of yourself. At least there's this one good thing about you. Isn't that nice to hear? Pretty sure not a lot of compliments get thrown around about you, knowing how you are.
There are a lot of good things about me, Daisy.
I doubt it.
My hair, for one.
Uh-huh.
There's also my extraordinary good looks. Wax lyrical about those all you want. I'd be happy to hear it any day. Praise anything about me but that.
What is so repulsive about it? Even Kylie likes you. Shouldn't that tell you anything about yourself?
Kylie is one kid, not even my own. Trust me, you do not want to see me bring a spawn of my own into this world. It'll be an abomination.
Well, on that, we're agreed.
Is that what you keep telling yourself?
Maybe. Is it any of your business?
No. But if I didn't know any better, I'd say this is because you yourself think you're a little piece of shite and somehow it'll pass on. It doesn't work like that, by the way.
Becca, as a fellow, person in the educational field, I have to say that it kind of does sometimes. That last remark just came out. There might be a sliver of truth in it, but I shouldn't have phrased it like that. Even for my own standards of the kind of person I'm talking to, it's still quite rude. An apology is already at my throat, but the minute I open my mouth, all what I've prepared myself to say dissipates, lost in the moment in front of me. He has turned his gaze outside, staring at some point past the buildings, blocking the view of the sky, equally lost in his thoughts. He's a vexing man under so many standards. However, in this moment, the morning light streaming from the window lends his features a certain air. Softer, less severe than what he often flaunts. Might as well be looking at a different man. There's a tender note in his voice when he finds it, the words muttered under his breath, not intended for anyone but himself. Nevertheless, it reaches my ears, unintentional as it may be.
You're right. She deserves someone far better than me.
Oh, she sure does. All that talk about self-worth makes some sense now. It isn't some profound knowledge he pulled out of his arse. It has come about because he's already been there, likely still stuck in the middle of it. Preaching about your own personal experience is easier, after all. Less room for mistakes, more for a dose of self-loathing. What a complicated man. Just when you thought you've already figured him out, he does one thing and says the other. People like him are the most difficult to gauge, far harder to understand. Yet, it might be exactly for this reason why some are so easily charmed by him. And of course, you are not one of those people, Becca. It's the mystery that catches them, of wanting to find out what's underneath that bravado. Can you just admit that you like the bad boy? I won't count myself among those, yet his winning personality isn't exactly my cup of tea. But sometimes, once you get a glimpse of what's beyond that machismo, empathizing with the man isn't such a steep hill to climb. If the comfortable silence we now share tells anything, that is. Perhaps this is as close to friendship as we can get. Several insults flung around with a few shared silences in between, and that's not exactly a bad thing. He's not exactly a bad guy either, despite the awkward start we've had. Maybe it's for this reason that I can't resist throwing in a little comment to lift his mood before leaving him.
You know, Luke, you're not such a bad person.
Is that supposed to make me feel better? I'm touched, Daisy.
Take it how you will, but a little attitude change would help. A lot.
Oh, bollocks. Right, of course. Let me know when you're done with your lecture, ma'am.
And you can probably start by not leaving your wife out while you're having some quality time with your goddaughter. Who knows? Maybe that'll help change how the child sees her.
Where did you even get the idea I'm leaving my wife out? Have you ever even met?
No, but I did see her with you two last time.
No, we did. His indifferent expression quickly dissolves into a confused scowl, while I meet it with meshing perplexity. It has only been 2 days. Surely his memory isn't that bad.
What? When was this?
At the cafe. After you left, she was sitting right beside you. Kylie was at the back and you were driving.
Daisy, are you sure you haven't accidentally hit yourself with your own book?
I'm glad we're
Because
getting
that
back to
damn
this, I
thing's
guess.
quite thick, and I'm really getting worried about you. It has only been a few days, and concussions can be dangerous. I suggest you have that checked.
Well, you asked. I just answered. It's pretty rude to make her wait like that, by the way.
How can I make her wait when she's not even with us?
What?
It was just Kylie and I that night.
Now you're just pulling my leg.
Luke exhales, long and drawn out, his impatience rapidly changing the companionable air around us. In the face of it, I tense. I've accidentally stepped into another minefield. Any chat I've had with him so far has been like this. Why this still surprises me escapes me, but above my worries of offending the man is my own bewilderment. I remember well enough what I saw that night, yet he says something completely different.
Wifey was out with Kylie's mummy that night. She wasn't with us. How do you think I ended up on babysitting duty?
But in the front seat. And Kylie's...
Miss B!
Oh, jeez, what now? Kylie's sobs reach my ears first, and then her familiar weight returns around my waist again. Hot tears seep through my blouse as she buries her face in it, arms winding tightly around me. Luke and I briefly exchange worried glances, his own lips shut tight with concern. Her cries are soft enough not to attract much attention. Most of the visitors have been ushered inside the rooms by now anyway. Those that still linger, though, watches our little group with great interest and concern. If I don't get a better handle of the situation, I have a feeling Luke will start yelling at everyone soon. Kneeling, I gently pull the girl away from me, cupping her face and wiping away tears, creating little trails in her cheeks. Her mouth is drawn in a miserable pout when she peers up at me.
All right, Kylie. Calm down. What happened?
It's my friend!
That's a little too vague, Munchkin.
Let her speak, Luke. Who is it, Kylie? Melody? Or was it the other one?
Takako?
Did the two of you fight?
She nods and immediately climbs up, letting her sobs communicate the story instead, or as much as her shaking shoulders can tell me. Right behind me, Luke gives a nervous huff while he shifts on his feet. He must not be used to handling children crying. What a wuss.
Sweetie, I won't be able to help you if you don't tell me what happened.
Seconds pass before she responds again. The tears are already gone when she finally musters the strength to talk, her cries subsiding to mere sniffles.
I wanted to give her the rest of the jelly babies, but she won't come out.
Where? Where is she?
In the little girl's room.
Is she still there?
Another nod.
She won't say what's wrong. I kept asking her, but she told me to go away. Career day's going to start soon. I saw the prizes Miss Alice will give us for good. She's gonna miss it.
I wonder if this is ghoul related.
Is that what you told her?
Yeah, she won't listen. She won't even take the jelly babies. After I saved it for her, too. She and Luke wanted to eat the red ones, but I told him it's not for him. Miss Pink, can you talk to her? Tell her to come out, and I'm really upset with her.
Just a little childish argument then. Times like this, I'm glad I teach teenagers mature enough for petty squabbles. I do love being around children, and I won't mind having one or two of my own in the future, but it takes a whole different level of patience to teach several of them. I honestly admire my colleagues who willingly took the challenge. Normally I'll leave this for the homeroom teachers to fix, but can't just ignore the imploring look she shoots me. That's another weakness I'll have to steel myself against before I ever think of having one of my own. For now, I give in to it.
Okay. Tell me where she is, sweetie.
Sighing, I stand up and gesture for her to lead the way. Luke trails quietly behind us. Even with the small distance in between us, his apprehension is palpable, understandably so. No one wants to be caught in the middle of a children's spat. But in the end, this is all just part of my job. I can't just shy away from it, can I? Alright, well I hate to leave us on this childhood squabble girl in a bathroom cliffhanger. Oh, you know what? I forgot about the career day poster. I did. I'm glad this is finally getting back to us with the creepy face. Alright, but we are well over at this point, so we are going to have to leave things off here. This has been Downstage Gaming. I've been your host, Josh, and we'll find out what's going on in this bathroom next time.